Okay, so this is the first, let's say, the Axiom meeting, I suppose. My name is Andrew Lansley. I'm Councillor for St Paul's and a lecturer at the University of Gloucestershire.
Hi, my name's Carla Young. I'm a trainee community organiser. I mostly work in West Cheltenham with the local community there, but our work goes as far as it spreads. So.
Hi, I'm Jackie Roger. I'm a co-partner in Creative Solutions local arts and media company.
I'm Sam Lucas. I'm a ceramics tutor at the National Star College.
I'm Ruben Lovett and I am a college student at Stroud College.
Okay, and we've convened this meeting to discuss the response online to the, let's say, the Axiom, I suppose, campaign, we can call it now. So we want transparency completely, so it makes sense to record this meeting so we have a record for the public. I will be chairing this meeting and we will be making some form of minutes or recording available. I think we can all agree on. We all consent to recording?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. So I just think we might start by going around the table and saying what we expect to get from this meeting and perhaps draw up a few aims so hopefully people can feed into that and let us know what they think. So I wanted to recap on what's been done so far. I want to discuss some of the issues that we've got in coordinating our groups and doing a second visitation through DTZ. And then talk overall strategy and constitution and how we should operate on an ethical basis.
Okay. For my own part, I've been doing a bit of the background work, answering messages. I'm interested in starting getting groups together to talk about fundraising and surveying particularly, because I think these are going to be core elements that we need to have a plan with from the beginning. So those are the main concerns that I've had so far. It's just establishing, especially with, I mean, we've had quite a few offers of help, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of those people have met with each other to talk about it so far. I think maybe transparency is needed with that. So.
Great. I'm interested in two things really. One is the overall structure for fundraising for the potential Axiom purchase and planning for that, but also in how this project is bringing together a sort of cohesive group of people who are interested in developing community art in Cheltenham and what that broader remit might be as well.
I just need to get up to speed with everybody else, really. So.
I'm quite interested about how the organisation side of it and how fundraising is going to be established. How we can move on and hopefully purchase the Axiom at some point.
Okay. Well, if we start with updates, Sam, so far, I'll let you talk about the community right to bid. We've been in contact with Cheltenham Borough Council about right to bid, which Carl will talk about shortly. I've been in contact with Philip Cranston, who is the agent at TTZ, who are the property agents for the Axiom. We had our first visit, which was publicly covered. We had coverage on BBC, Radio Gloucestershire, as well as the Gloucestershire Echo. So we sort of showed everyone what happened that day. We've organised a second viewing, which will be hopefully with a surveyor. I imagine this will be a week on Saturday, but I'm going to wait for confirmation. And we're going to answer some further questions concerning the quality of build and some of the issues that need to be addressed, because I see this as a three-stage process which is all interlinked. Firstly is the purchase of the building, second is the refurbishment, and third is coordination and establishment of a community arts strategy. I think the third point for me at the moment is moot. We need something in place in order to get that launched, but whether we need or whether we don't need a community arts centre, I think is probably not a conversation for these meetings. I don't, because what we're doing is responding to the public response to the campaign online. So the other thing that I'm planning at the moment, I'm just coordinating the crowdsourcing accounts with Space Hive. So as soon as we're agreed on a constitution to move forward, it makes sense to put that online and make it available for fundraising. So that's where I am with things.
Okay, I've spoken to Richard Gibson today in regards to community right to bid. He stated that they can't move the panel meeting forward because he's meeting with directors. It's going to be on the 2nd of December. It's consisting of 4 people. We had struggled to get another member in as it is. So yeah, unfortunately that can't be moved forward. I'm seeking advice of the locality because it's interesting. You speak of quality of build, so obviously we want the right people for this particular project. So I'm speaking with them to find out more about how to ensure that goes ahead.
Sorry, was the panel meeting?
Yeah, it's on the 2nd of December.
And this is for the rights to...
And this is for right to bid,
community
so
right to bid.
they'll decide
Okay.
whether it's an
So you're
asset of
meeting-
community value.
And who's on the panel?
I know that Richard Gibson's on it, and then it's
Sure.
4 directors. I didn't get the names from them
Okay, for
today.
directors from CBC?
Yeah, it's from Cheltenham Borough Council. I also looked into a funding pot that I know that was available, that was designed specifically for community right to bid, but that closed 2 months ago. So we've just missed the boat on that, and it was I think up to 500,000 as well for the grant. So we've got to speak to funders and start looking at other routes, I think.
Okay. With the panel meeting, you said this is, sorry, what was that, the 4th of December?
2nd.
2nd of December. And do we make a representation to that panel, or do they just look at the paperwork they've received so far?
They look at the paperwork they've received, all of the supporting documents that we've included. I think they check that all the community group, the unconstituted community group that we developed are actually legitimate and they're on the electoral register. And then from that they decide if it's a legitimate community asset. So.
Okay.
And I don't think we have a right to appeal that either. If they do decide that it's not, if it's not an asset, then we don't have a right to appeal.
Is it worth getting some more? I mean, obviously there's fantastic evidence on the Facebook side, but I know just from in the last few weeks since this has happened, I've been talking to a lot of people, and there are a lot of people who don't use Facebook who are really, really supportive of this. And I think
Just let you know there's another mummy there now if you need one.
including people that use of studio spaces in the Axiom, so people that would be quite, have a history of working there would be quite interested. I mean, obviously it's been in the Echo, but is it worth just trying to get some more people to sign, and not necessarily a petition, but to sign something, and to add evidence and weight to this? Because the worst thing that could happen is that this panel on the 2nd of December throw out the right to buy.
That's a very good point, isn't it? I've always viewed, just again having an overview of the start of this, but not necessarily the project itself, that we would wait until that protection comes in before making fundraising viability available through the crowdsourcing. But it's a difficult one, I think, because do you wait until you've definitely got an opportunity to do it and then start raising money, or do you sort of punt on it a little bit and start now? Because I don't think we want to misrepresent or mislead people.
No, not at all.
Because of course the funding's pretty much ready to go. But then
my only concern would be just, and this is not my point of view, but I know this point of view that some councillors and other people may hold, is that something that is just being on Facebook and is spread quite quickly on Facebook doesn't necessarily represent the wider community of Cheltenham. And as we have got this bit of time between the 2nd of December, and I'm kind of looking at Rue, because he said something about he'd be quite happy to go into Cheltenham and do a bit of lobbying or talking to people, but it might be worth taking some of the volunteers up and up offer and going back to basics and getting people to say yes, we would be interested in supporting the community right to buy.
okay, so actually raising profile,
Yeah,
because obviously
in a very boring way, but actually maybe a necessary
a
way.
physical way as well, because I think social networks, they can obviously they sometimes are looked sort of over the past because they're not. It's not. Even if the show of support's there, there's not a physical show of evidence. Apart from the turnout on the day when
we did get 40 odd people.
Yeah.
I think it was. So it wasn't too bad. What was your idea for tea in town? I think that's probably worth mentioning. I think that's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Well, it's not. It wouldn't be anything to raise much money, but you could. Yeah, I was thinking offering tea, coffee, and cake to people in town for free and asking for a donation, but also to talk to them about the Axiom projects and the sort of cause that we're backing here.
Do you think, Rue, this is putting you in the spot a bit, but I think it's partly because I know that you'll probably get this quite a lot tomorrow, Carla. Everybody's so time poor, you know,
Yeah.
and especially as we go on, you know, the older we get, the more time poor we get, I think it's true to say. But do you think if, with support, this is something that you might be able to do on a weekend between now and the 2nd of December? It's only one
it's
weekend.
possible, yeah.
It'd be next weekend,
We
basically.
always make time, so.
You know,
One of the issues we'll have is contacting Channel Borough Council, because if we're going to be operating on High Street
yeah,
or on Promenade, and we're intending to have any street furniture or food
Yeah.
and drink, then
sure.
issues might come with...
I'm just wondering if we could also just generate, not putting all the pressure on you, but just generate some kind of very simple paper document. Because as I say, like I know, for example, I was at a private viewing on Friday night, and there was a number of people there that I know would support the Axiom project wholeheartedly, but don't use social networks.
Are you talking about a petition starting for...
Yeah, very simple, but and old-fashioned. But actually, it's just having more evidence with addresses.
That's
to
a
people
great
in
idea.
Cheltenham.
Great.
Yeah. And if we could circulate that, have something that could be downloadable even off Facebook, and get all of our members, all of the people that have already signed up, to get 10 signatures each, you suddenly got a fantastic body of evidence that they can't argue with in a second.
Okay.
So I work with a framework called Root Solution Listening Matters, and I don't know if that would be appropriate for conducting a more real-world research project into whether people think it's a viable project, what they want to see happen with it and what they can offer. I mean, I can pass some forms. These questions don't need to be kept to what they are. But they can be adapted to what the Axiom does. I don't know if that'd be useful. You can talk to people in the street while you're doing the tea thing.
Perhaps that could be one of our first actions then.
Because then you can also get their contact details, and it's just a little lot more concrete than any of the digital.
Perhaps it might be us worth us speaking with Clara Sudbury, who's of course run a petition already for Save the Axiom, but I think there needs to be a demarcation between those two buildings. We're talking about saving and such and Community Arts Centre, so perhaps see if she's got names or people who are willing to be contacted already, so we could accelerate this process.
Yeah. I'm just thinking this is fantastic, but it's not the next step further down the line. I'm thinking just about getting a few more names and details for the meeting, at the panel meeting on the 2nd.
So rather than something sort of which would be a lot of maintenance and eat into a lot of people's time, just literally say the Axiom plasterboard, board, and then clipboard with names, addresses and emails.
Names, addresses and emails, maybe just a very simple sheet with Save the Axiom at the top, and send it out to every single person on Facebook that's offered to help, and say if you get 10 they print it out themselves, they get 10 signatures each, which I'm sure everybody's capable of doing. You've got 1,500 members. That's you're doing my maths is not my strong point, but even that's fairly simple, and it would.
But then what I could do is I could contact Echo and BBC, and if this is something you're willing to do, then we can have you in town. If you've got friends who want to help out, and we do it as a press.
And we can do something as part of Black Art Friday, which is another local arts initiative, which is happening this Friday. Which is, it's Black Friday on Friday. And there's a new free art Friday, which is an international, international campaign where all works of art are donated for free on Fridays, and there's a big one, supposedly a big one this Friday. You're not available. Well, we could still do something as part of this.
But you could take something
potentially.
That's not this Friday.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, going back to Free Art Friday, I'm sure, because the Free Art Friday, I originally found out about it, I think, through the Axiom site, because I think somebody from Free Art Friday linked to the Axiom site, Facebook page. I'm planning on doing something up in Coronation Square, which will be probably just a floor drawing and painting about the traders on the square. And then around Cheltenham, people are giving away free art, they just leave art in different places. But that is a potential link to anybody who's doing that. Again, could have an Axiom clipboard and get, and link it in.
Right, I've got no problem with that. If we think that's doable, the more of us you can get. So we can have an online strategy. You're happy to do this?
I'm doing it Friday from only first thing in the morning, but I can leave it with the traders and get them to send it in and drop it off at Co-op.
What would you like your commitment to this to be then?
Well, I'm willing to commit myself to any area of it. The idea of tea, just for goodwill and giving people the idea to relate to the axiom. I can accomplish that, but I would need support in terms of catering drugs for hot water, if that were possible. But
yeah, I think that would be an issue with.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 4 days until the weekend, and it's also Saturday before Christmas. So a lot of the trading licences have already gone in. So the people who put hot pot rolls and rides and stuff down the high street, it might be very difficult to do that. Whereas I think
But with a picket sign and
picket sign
that's
and
fine.
a clipboard, I don't think you're going to need to ask many people for signatures. I think they'll come to
and
you.
that's quite easy to arrange as well, especially if multiple people were available to help.
I've got 2 kids and no childcare on Saturday, but I'll come and say hello. I promise that much.
I'm just
Yeah, but I'm
generally,
sure,
but-
and it's something that can be brought up tomorrow, isn't it? When you've got all your.
I'll be happy to
your
join
groups.
you for an hour.
Yeah.
So
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
me, my wife
Excellent.
and the little one will come along. And
on Saturday.
I think Saturday, nice busy time in town,
Yeah.
make it nice and visible.
And then
Okay.
the thing to combine, you get lots of signatures, and then maybe this. I think this looks really good, or something along this line. That's further down the line, when maybe after Christmas, when we know that we've got the community right to buy, and we can start consulting with people in a bit more detail about what they would want.
These forms here.
Yeah.
I think a good idea with this route solution form, perhaps this is something else we can put out to everyone on the group as well, because if they can help define these boundaries, then that's going to be extremely helpful, because they're going to be able to define what they want. So I think we can do this on a much bigger scale.
And we had a huge group volunteer for the just general activist stage, as I said earlier. I think it was probably the majority of people who offered their skills were activists, so this could be what they could get into.
So what does that mean, activist stage? Like, to me, activist is someone who's kicking against the system.
There's a bit of that in there.
It's quite controversial term, isn't it, activist, but I suppose it's just the general things like this, being
People who are
able
willing
to
to
have the time to
put
raise
physical action
awareness.
into it.
They might not have a professional skill as such that they feel they can offer, so but that doesn't mean that they're not kind of a vital part of getting the word out, finding more information out. And that's what we need for this to be a success, just enough people, getting enough
Just
of
anyone
others
that's willing
to
act.
yes, that's it.
Yeah. That's exactly my understanding of it, so I'm happy with that. Okie doke. That actually covers a couple of the points I've got down here. Do we have any more to say then on Saturday? I suppose petitioning in town is what we're going to be doing, which would be quite nice.
Are you going to have a specific location, or are you going to be a roaming?
Well, it depends. It depends how many people you can get on board. If we posted something on the page and talked to others that were interested, do you think that many people would be willing to come along?
I think if you only ask people for an hour at a time, and that way you can kind of rotate it as well, and then or a couple of hours, and that way it's not all the burden.
And then,
You have to make sure the
then it
burden's
could
not all
spread
on
across
you.
town. We could set up an area as a hub, just to put clipboards and things. Have you got clipboards available to you and such?
I've got a couple. I've
Because
probably
I-
got
Oh, you
about
might have some
4.
community organiser.
I might be able to get some from work.
And I can print things at college, so
I've got about 1 which I'll be using on Friday and giving.
Okay, so I mean, if we can do the strategy of this over the week, just to keep this meeting down, then we can work out how we achieve that over the week. We can get stuff printed up. We can build a schedule of assistance as well. Put calls out on the Facebook group and make everyone aware of it. So then what we can do is we can sort of draw that towards you, and then we can help coordinate it. I think that's fair to say. And there we are. We've got our next event to raise the profile and help people, which is lovely. So I can contact the press with that. This is sort of leading on to the second point I wanted to discover, which was press strategy.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, there's been a few different people commenting on it. I've utilised my own press contacts that I have through working in local media over the last sort of 5 or 10 years to get coverage so far. I mean, it wasn't difficult. I just told them and they turned up. And then they were very good because I'd asked them not just to interview myself, because I contacted them, I asked them to interview other people, which they did, and that's what ended up going in the paper, which was good. For me, though, as we develop this idea, I think it needs to have a voice which is defined by a constitution or an ethical approach or ethos. But then I don't think that should necessarily be me or any one of us So I want to know. I mean, I'm quite happy to keep bringing press to the table, and they're happy to do it. But again, I'm just very conscious. I definitely don't want to be.
I think it's
frontman,
Yeah.
because it's a community project.
Yes, 100%.
Everyone is a representation of it.
I think it sort of touches upon something that I've been doing a fair bit of research into because of going for the space on Coronation Square, because I'm trying to get the structure of that right before we go into the building. And the two things that I've been looking at and doing a lot of research on are either community interest company or cooperative. The community interest company has a number of trustees who can be directors, who can end up being paid, who kind of decide what happens, if you like. But it is all the profits, all the money, everything goes back into and all the assets belong to the community. So that's that structure in a nutshell. Probably others could explain it a lot better. A cooperative, which is what I'm leaning towards now with the Square project, is you have cooperative members, everybody pays a nominal, well, you can set a fee. That could be people's donation to a crowdsourced funding, could make them a cooperative member. And then they decide on what happens with the board. They elect the board has to be re-elected every year, and they have the kind of final say in those things. So you can still take action without always having to go to vote the whole community, but ultimately they own it and they're responsible for it, which seems like quite a good structure for the Axiom programme. I'm getting much more, because I'm doing it at the moment anyway, I'm getting much more detailed information and structure and constitution and articles and all of those kind of things drawn up through my own project, the Square project. But I think what I would be inclined to do is look at, you have got all this public support, but almost take a vote initially on what kind of structure you go for, and ask people to nominate themselves or be elected or nominate others as your trustees and your board.
Okay.
And although we've had discussions and we've had people like myself come through as acting project managers, Carl, I think it'd be good to kind of give credence to that through having a voting system.
Yes, I think anything does need to be shared out fully, publicly and equally. I'm thinking more in terms of immediately, because we'll have to deal with press for this weekend. Assuming that this is all successful and we manage to buy the Axiom, then obviously the town's going to own somewhere, and we're going to need to speak to people. So really I'm talking more about the immediacy, building up the structure with which we can engage. Again, I think should be publicly defined, and great ideas already exist out there. I don't think we're rewriting the rule book, but things like cooperatives are
I wonder if it's a priority that people actually figure out whether it's going to take route of cooperative, CIC or whatever, because for the fundraisers to act, I think that a lot of grants that are available do rely quite heavily on them already having that status.
Absolutely.
So that would already have to be good to go. As soon as possible.
Agreed,
It is definitely a priority action. But when with all the people that come forward with skills, has anybody come forward particularly with press skills? Because although I've dealt with press, you've dealt with press, it's not my.
Tanith Harding spoke to me and helped get BBC Gloucestershire engaged. So really I'm thinking, almost to me, just to put my own thought on the table, is that I don't really think it necessarily matters who speaks, as long as they're incredibly knowledgeable about what we're doing, and as long as they have the agreement of representation from the group. So something like, if we're going to put out a press release, then that needs to go on to the Facebook group. Everyone needs to be able to see it, or it goes up to...
Can we co-opt though, if we have got somebody who's got those specific skills? Because I know I can write a press release, but they're probably terrible, and I hate doing it. But I'm sure we can then say it's just as the same as anything else. It is then shared with the group.
Agreed.
Or put on Google Docs.
Okay, so this is a responsibility then for our press and marketing skills cluster.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Start delegating straight away. Really.
What we do is, from the ideas generated today, we can provide briefs or outlines and dates as well for them to get it done, because I think we need to move on this quickly.
But they can also contact somebody who's experienced and do that can then give Rue a call and do an interview with you about why you're motivated to do it, and make it that much more sort of appealing package.
Would everyone around this table be happy? Say if we just put out all of our names initially to say the press can choose who they call. Is everyone happy for that?
Probably not best for me out there. I haven't got the information.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm lacking more than you are but I would be willing to speak.
I think you've got a particular perspective, haven't you? So I
perspective.
think that would be put in a press
Yeah.
release. I'm happy to talk as a sort of community advisor, if you like. Yeah.
Okay.
Personally, with the ethics of my job, because I'm bringing a lot of that into this, I can't really speak to the press
Okay.
that much. I'd rather stay in the background as much as possible.
Right, okay.
So,
If I talk to the press, then I do so as a resident of Cheltenham. I don't do it in any other capacity
Yeah.
of my roles because that's not being represented for my involvement in this. It's just as a Cheltenham person.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, us three then
Yeah, sure.
initially, and then what we can do is we can coordinate with the press and marketing group to help create the materials, and then we can get that out publicly so that people can agree on what we're saying as a community.
I mean, I have to say that the press have been so much more supportive than they were even 10 years ago about arts projects in general. It's really changed, that we've seen incredibly supportive and want to publicise them.
Okay, so as far as ethics and constitution is concerned, if we have a transparent press strategy, we have a transparent operational strategy through the recording of this meeting. I'll just put it out there now, I think everyone should be able to know everything about anything that's said about this project. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So I think as long as we've got an agreement of transparency from the start then, which is defined here and now, that everyone gets an equal say, I think for manageability it's probably worth having a smaller group to start with, but then we're able to expand to that thanks to the lovely world of technology through the skills cluster. So it's not like we're saying people can't be involved, we're saying people can get involved with their specific skills at this stage. Yet anything that needs to go out to vote, anything that needs to be agreed on, that there's a definite public level, and then we should be transparent about the sort of demarcation between what constitutes an operational change and then what constitutes public consultation on those changes. Would it be fair to say?
that's the first thing.
Well,
I wonder
egalitarianism.
if the Google Docs that I've set up, I mean, everybody's welcome to be part of it and be able to view it, and all the skills clusters can edit it. You know, it's kind of run on it. If you can contribute, then you can edit these documents. I don't know how that's going to fare for people who are less technologically kind of literate.
Okay.
I worry about kind of keeping information out to people who perhaps don't know how to go through all the folders and everything. So I don't know, that might be something that I've got to speak to tomorrow with people that come tomorrow.
I think my only concern is just if everybody can edit documents, and it's maybe me being illiterate here, that what happens if somebody accidentally deletes a whole pile of work, which, you know, is the kind of thing I might do myself. But I think we need to put some safeguards in place, and also I think we need safeguards in place if anybody was to, because there's a lot of people that are very politicised actually who want to be part of this programme, which is great, but I think if we're putting across a message that we're all signing up for, if we're having documents that everybody can edit and it then goes out with something that's controversial or not in everybody's point of view, I think that can be tricky.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
What you said about safety of documents and such being deleted, is there a way of backing them up on Google Docs?
I think we can do backup. We can also lock documents as well. So I think once people have agreed on them, then we can have them as read-only, and then everyone can agree that it's going to read-only, and then it's almost like archived as something that can no longer be changed. Anything operational that is live edit, we're just going to have to trust everyone.
Yeah.
People will be able to contribute. It
Maybe
will save
it's worth it,
backups, so Google Drive does do that, I think.
Yeah.
But I will just check on that.
It might be worth just saying, because of this diplomatic process, if you like, that while documents are in transition, they may not express everybody's point of view, but please, if they don't edit and as you go along.
I mean, it's crowdsourced skills and operation as well as fundraising, isn't it? So,
well, it's an interesting model, that's for sure.
I've been digging around to find examples where this has been done before, and I don't think anyone's either not been managed to do it or has not been silly enough to do it. I think it's fair to say. But there we go. All right. So also protection for the work that's being undertaken by people, because obviously if we're committing everything to public domain, then we're going to need some form of security for the people who've put work into it, I suppose. Okay.
And we need to think about security of people's contact addresses and stuff as well, actually. So I'm not quite sure how that would work.
So probably, again, that's one of the documents that is not publicly available. It's not already, is it?
No,
yeah, you've already protected
it's
that.
in a private area. The only people that've got access to it, the people who've got access to the Axiom email address.
Okay.
And I wonder if maybe the primary role of the admin is this could go under their domain as well, which is they might have access to the privately controlled information, but that'll be a very small group of 2-3 people.
Okay.
And also that if we did have to keep documents a little secure, that any that have been edited can be sent back to them and they'll make them available, but nobody else can actually edit it on Google Drive, only they can. I don't know if that could be one solution for that, but I don't know what else things.
Okay. It's probably a good one for the admin
Yeah.
team tomorrow, because I think we should be able to trust you and the admin guys. I think perhaps having out of your skills cluster, if they can nominate someone to do the housekeeping, so to speak, then that actually keeps quite a nice tidy chain of people responsible for editing and movement or sharing of documents. I think as far as personal details go, I think it's absolutely critical. I mean, that security is top on this. So for example, if this is an admin thing, then I don't need access to it, so it's probably best then if I don't have access to the Axiom email. So if you change your password set up, then that's something that can operate without my undue influence or perhaps other people's. I don't know. I don't know. I think that's probably a discussion.
That still have to be thought of with the physical of the information that you collect, if any, on Saturday as well.
Yeah.
I've got access to a locked filing cabinet at the Neighbour project, but then that means that I've got control over how that information's stored.
Well,
I'm
I'm taking people's information at the moment,
Yeah.
phone numbers and emails, not addresses. I don't know what you class that as.
It's all just
That's
down
the old
to
school,
data
isn't it? Yeah.
protection. I suppose they know how their information's being used, but they don't know exactly who's got access to it at the moment, because we are not actually a proper company. It's just a group of people that have started working together. Perhaps got to do some more research into kind of the legal side of it, to make sure that we're not going over any.
I think a clear thing we'd have to say at the moment is that it's not shared.
No.
You know, and as long as you say that it's not going to be shared with any other organisation other than, you know,
Third parties.
yeah.
Okay. I don't know how you feel about this suggestion, Carla, but perhaps having only one person have access to that information, and that person be you, and then the skills clusters can share each other's information.
Okay.
Obviously, they need each other's emails. It'd be ridiculous not to.
What skills clusters have we got? We've got admin, press,
Skills clusters
activist.
we've got press, legal, financial audit, fundraisers, property, builders. I can send you a
And
link.
have we got people in sort of legal funding? Have we had Office of Health in those areas?
It's probably worth noting for the recording as well. We do have a Trello account, which currently myself, Carla, and Lee Holder have access to. I think you'll need access to this as well, and probably yourself, Ruben. So what it is, it's basically an online list making and document hosting forum. So it's private. It's only available via people who can log into it. And at the moment, what we've got there is the literature that's pertaining to the community right to bid. We've got a list of things to do with regards to strategy, which is what we're discussing tonight, crowdsourcing, funding, as well as viewing and property management.
Okay.
So probably a good thing for me to do then after this meeting is share that, invite you to log into this, because then you'll be able to see, if you actually have a look at the skills cluster list, which starts here, so skills groups, sorry, you can go away. Rather than list through all of
Okay,
them.
excellent.
So-
And then have you had people come forward in all these areas?
All except legal. The one place that we're looking for
That's the same with
is a
them.
lawyer. That's
Yeah.
the only person we don't have.
I've just found, one of the things I found out from Cooperative Futures, which is an organisation that supports people becoming cooperative, unsurprisingly. But one of the things they do, if you sign up for them and they think that you are going to be a cooperative and your ethics and everything else are right, I think you get 4 days, they'll pay for 4 days legal advice.
Cool.
So the details, I will be finding out for that in more detail on the 9th of December at a meeting, so I'm doing it with the Axiom head on as well.
Okay.
Maybe it's not quite as much as 4 days. But anyway, I'm a man to legal advice.
Okay.
So I've had offers, but their specialism isn't anywhere near to do anything like this. It's mostly to do with immigration, and then we live in Bristol, so it's not quite suitable, I think.
I have to say the most difficult thing about the square that we haven't been able to find is the whole leasehold thing, and that's the leasehold rather than the buy. But we still need a legal advice, which is not cheap.
Okay, so I think that's probably a priority for this week then, because that is the only place I can remember, at least, that we don't have offers in the skills clusters. So perhaps there is a benevolent lawyer in Cheltenham, solicitor in Cheltenham, who just wants to.
I have been to,
give
just to
some
save
help.
you going there again, I have been to not Fair Shares, it's Fair Shares,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, and they haven't got anybody, but I've been putting the feelers out as much as possible. So
John's
no need.
lawyer was Georgina Fitzgerald, is it?
Who's this?
John that set up the Axiom last time.
Oh right.
His lawyer was, I think it's Georgie. She was my lawyer for a while as well, because he passed her information on to me. I can probably get hold of it, but I don't know if it was his personal lawyer or was it the lawyer that he dealt with at the Axiom. But I know that was his lawyer, so
If you could
whether
find
she
out,
would want to be
that'd
interested.
great.
I know that she was. I think she's private now. I think she did legal aid and stuff like that before.
So
So
legal aid has been
abolished. Isn't
yeah,
it?
absolutely. But it might be
But it might
if
be
she has
contact.
that. And she has the thing that I found about the Axiom. People seem to have this real emotional
Yes.
connection to it. So if you could, would you mind following
No,
that
I
up?
can find. I should have her address somewhere. So.
Would you mind giving her a call and just having a conversation
No,
about it,
not
trying to
at all,
explain
no,
where we are?
yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Well, the last thing I've got on my list then from initial actions is the coordinated community management and growth. So obviously we have, I think it's fair to say, a fairly rich cultural heritage in this town. It's two-tier. We've got our festivals and we've got, I suppose, our commercial operators, which is our venues and some of the paid-for stuff. And then we've got community-based operations already. So we've already got art spaces, we've already got promoters, we've already got a huge list of things. Again, I've got another lovely long list on the Trello for you all. I've already started speaking to some of these people because I think that, again, anything which is being done by the public, which will intrinsically affect these people in these areas, we're all going to have different opinions on whether this is going to impact positively or negatively on existing service. From just very briefly with my council hat on, I think a cohesive, coordinated strategy for community arts and culture in general in our town is something that is sorely missed at the moment.
Yeah.
I think one of the big problems a lot of these satellite spaces have is that they can't get the promotion, they can't get the marketing, because they do some great stuff, but there's nothing to sort of raise the profile of it. Same as well for a tourism strategy for the town. Like we're a cultural centre for England, yet we don't really seem to shout enough about it. So I think, further down the line, whether a one roof policy is going to fix this problem or not, that is definitely a serious discussion, the impact on other community arts in this town,
I think
including yourself, obviously.
Absolutely, but I think it's also hugely important in a time when Cheltenham's undergoing great change, as we know, and the leisure and cultural services have been handed over to trust, which we will hope has community benefit and community arts at heart as well, but there's no guarantees there. So I think it's very, very important for the arts organisations and cultural organisations in Cheltenham to be working together, and I think this is one way that we can come under one banner. And I know from speaking to other arts organisations, more in the visual arts, and you obviously speak more to music, etc., that there's mixed feelings at the moment about the Axiom bid. I think that's fair to say.
Well, there'll be a lot of stigma from the past.
Yeah, and there's people who are naysayers who don't think it's possible, and there's also people that will feel threatened by it. And I think one of the things that interests me most about this actually is the journey, because I think in this day and age, actually, arts organisations, we need to work together and support each other and come together rather than get protectionist about what we're doing. So I think that's part of the role of Let's Buy The Axiom almost, that we are supporting the rich, sort of diverse arts.
The thing is, it is a big enough space to accommodate everybody as well. I mean, in the past, it did have sort of independence, but it worked as a cooperative as well.
But I see it's been a real potential benefit for some arts organisations that are in small and isolated, being able to come into a space where they're supported and have a bigger audience. So, and I think some of those people might need a little bit more coaxing than others, and I think a lot of people will be just standing back and waiting to see how far we get before they'll commit at all, which is
I've
understandable.
spoken to a few people, and their opinion seems to be that they have little hope.
Yeah.
But if it did get off the ground, they would be fully willing to help, because
I think that's it. It's a
they
bit
love
of a
the
leap of
idea,
faith.
but they don't see it as a possibility.
I think it's that number, isn't it? At the moment, everyone's focusing on that number,
Yeah.
even though that number is much bigger than that. You know, it's that kind of, it's impossible. But exactly, it does happen. People can do it, can't they? So.
Yep. Well, this is it, and I think this is one of the key ethos behind this whole project, is that it's providing a facility for people to engage if they want. I don't think we should be forcing anyone into engaging. Obviously, and people are entitled to be suspicious, or people are, because we're all sat here and we don't know each other really well, but we do know we're here all for good, I hope, and none of us have any interest on this other than wanting to help people purchase an art centre if possible. I'd agree. I think we've got a very small chance, but again, it's important that you try.
I think one of the things that is possibly strategically interesting further down the line, though, is say we get pledges towards an amount of money, but not enough to go forward with purchasing the Axiom. And this is where I think it could be quite interesting, is how we work with our membership and have a proper elected membership, so that could be used to do some positive activity, or look at a smaller venue, or but I think there's ways forward, and I think that journey, although at the moment the Axiom is our goal, I think we need to kind of work with everybody about what can we do if we actually galvanise 20,000 people in Cheltenham to pledge £10, say, and have that. People say we want this to go towards making something really good happen in community arts. How then do we work with the existing infrastructure and our artists and young people and all the other people that we're trying to support to make something positive happen, rather than it just being, oh well, it didn't happen, there obviously isn't a need for that, and it's brushed under the carpet again. And I think that's where we've got an opportunity here to make a real difference. So whether we get to that ultimate goal or whether we take another path on the way, I think that's where we need to work really strongly with our group.
Yeah, I would agree. I think one of the great side benefits of this has been what a massive expression of passion for arts in this town that we've seen. It's lovely, really. I think it'd be irresponsible not to do something with that if something like this wasn't.
No, totally agreed. I think positive in community arts. I think in Cheltenham is absolutely essential.
The amazing thing about this immediately is people are talking about it, and people that are excited by it, the people that I didn't know I'm a relative newcomer to Cheltenham. I didn't realise how connected everybody was in the arts here, even though I thought I did, but actually that sense of community is already really stronger than I've ever felt it here, and I think that's really important.
Okay, so is there anything else, any other business, anything else anyone would like to discuss from the list? Because we've gone through mine, so
can't remember what I said now. I think it was that in the, I think we need to think really clearly about different steps and what we do if we get so far and not all the way.
And how we build even if we don't.
That we can. This is an amazing opportunity to.
I mean, that's it. You've got a lot of connections with a lot of people working in the arts in different areas as well, with different types of.
And I know that everybody I know wants to have a more creative space in their life, and hub, and a creative hub, an opportunity to speak to other artists, work with other people, all that cross-fertilisation that goes on in the different arts working together. That is absolutely concrete, and the last week has evidenced that more than ever. So I think it's really, really important that we don't lose sight of that in just the Axiom.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at somewhere like Chapter in Cardiff or the Guildhall, essentially when it first started, I think, I know that there are things going on at the Wilson, but I think that it's too intimidating for most people, and I think this is definitely a much more.
I think if these provisions were made by the Wilson, then we wouldn't have seen such a massive response so shortly after it opened. That personal opinion, but
I think that's a huge selling point. I think that's why it's going to call to a lot of people, and perhaps in the way that other provisions in Cheltenham aren't at the moment, is just how intimidating some of it can be if it's seen as something quite professionalised. I think the pull of the Axiom is that although they had professional space up there, it wasn't seen as just a purely, arts world sort of
No,
exercise.
No, it's a space for everybody.
It was, it was for
Yeah,
everybody.
poetry, dance,
And, yeah.
drama,
There was a
music,
cafe.
people with learning difficulties, art therapy going on, junior schools coming in,
Yeah.
projects going out to senior schools, it's real accessible.
Yeah, and in terms of personal agendas, I think that supporting education in schools at the moment, arts education is absolutely crucial because it's been so marginalised through the curriculum.
Absolutely.
That it's up to the community again to kind of make sure that young people get those
Arts
opportunities.
lose money recently.
And having that venue where everybody
Using
can...
hands over fist.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
this is the important point as well. Is it goes back to that fact that we don't have some sort of overall strategy for it, and we have a rich cultural heritage yet no coordinated programme. So talking about the journey, I mean, I think again there's some important responsibilities from what we're discussing here, personally. So.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we need to keep questioning and challenging and thinking about in a way so that we,
Okay. Anything else anyone would like to discuss before we go through actions?
I think it's covered my list actually. It's good.
Yeah.
Lovely. Look at that, a meeting that lasts only as long as it needs to last. We've done what a great start. Okie doke then. So the actions I've got, and I've already put these on Trello. So when I add you guys tonight, then obviously we can have you can see what's on here. So the administration and groups meeting, which is tomorrow. So you're happy to lead on that? Obviously
Yeah.
you are. It's going to be held here. So
I'll do the
you're
same
boss.
thing as done here. I'll probably hold a meeting to begin with where I'll ask them what they want to plan in terms of organisation side of things, and I'll keep a record of any actions that they're passing, in terms of how we're handling Google Docs and everything.
Okie doke.
And that'll be tomorrow at 6. So
Tomorrow at 6.
Will we be taking minutes on that as well?
yeah, I'll take notes and I'll make sure they're available to everybody. So.
Lovely. I'm quite happy to publish this meeting tonight if no one minds
No,
recording
it's fine.
going up.
No?
No? Okay, good. I'll do that then. And then what I will do is I'll coordinate with you, Ruben, so we can sort out Saturday.
Yep.
We'll put a call out on the group. We will. I'll get in touch with press if everyone's happy with that, and then we'll see if we can get that covered
Okay, that's
and get
fine.
you some support.
Cool, brilliant. That would be fantastic.
Wouldn't it just? Lovely. I like the cup of tea and cakes idea. That's again seeing how this progresses. Yeah. I'm sure we'll do that anyway. I think. Okay. Does anyone else have anything they would like to add? Okay.
I will be doing a Black Friday action on
Oh,
Friday.
I'm sorry. Yes, of course. Yeah.
But that will also be for the Coronation Square project.
Okay, so you-
Obviously, but I will take the Axiom signing sheet because I think that would be a good opportunity to
Because
sort of
people there
both.
may be like-minded as well.
Yeah, so with both. But obviously, I'll be talking about both projects.
Lovely. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.